Not a bad spot. So I've camped here a bunch. Had to pull the grill off and stoke the fire a little bit, and I'm noticing all my stickers are getting wore off. I'm gonna start replacing them. Some of them just goofball stuff, you know, but I don't know, some of them's places I've been that I've enjoyed. And East Point, Florida, I grew up in on the Gulf area of Florida. I'm originally from South Florida, but spent some time growing up down there and on the Gulf. And some of these are just places I've been. When I went up to Montana, you know, of course, I drove all the way from down here, 34-hour drive, I think. There's a little Cape San Blas down in Florida, Black Hills, South Dakota. I haven't been to Scotland, but I'm of Scottish descent, so I don't know, maybe one of these days. But I don't remember what I even got over here. Let's see, Cedar Key. I actually spent some time growing up around Cedar Key on the Gulf. Spent a lot of time in Cedar Key, actually, growing up as a kid. There's my Glacier National Park out in Montana, and of course Wyoming, and Brasstown Bald here local. And I put these on years ago, me and my wife and all my kids, and I don't have enough room to add to them now. I've got grandkids and everything else going on, so. But yeah, I don't know, some of these I need to pull off and replace. They're getting just wore out, and I've just been neglecting them. This is our setup for the night, though. Just gonna crash in there, and which I do often anyway. I've got a cot. I don't know if I've ever showed that before, but I've got an actual fold-out cot that can be set up in here, and the camp kitchen swings around to the back. If you check some of the previous videos, you'll probably see my camp kitchen actually sitting back here, where I've got these cases at now. But it swings around here, and it actually works out perfectly. The camp kitchen sits right here, and then from there to the front is just enough room to put that cot, and it leaves you some storage space underneath for a long trip. It works out pretty good. But I don't know, I've got to where again, I don't have my memory foam with me, but I just got a piece of plywood that just lays down flat to smooth out that, because there's a couple of the hinge and the handles for the back of the seats and stuff are there. So, but once you lay that down, throw a little padding down. I've got an old sleeping bag. That sleeping bag I think I used probably when I was about 7 years old. My grandmother passed away and a few years back, and she still had it, so it came back home with me. But I don't know, I find sometimes it just works for me to just sleep. I can stretch out, it does fine. Actually, it works pretty good for my back. And I've got some lights and stuff in here too that I hook up sometimes, but the fire seems to be going pretty good now. I'm gonna get in there and see if I can figure out something to eat. I don't know, kind of not hungry in a way. I tend to run off of coffee a lot, and I shouldn't. We can walk down here to the creek for a minute. This creek has undergone a lot of changes over the years. At one time, it was dammed up all the way across here, and you had a pretty calm little pool of water, probably about a foot deep, that stayed on the backside, and a lot of crawfish and stuff stayed in there. But of course the storms come and rearranges, and everything's always constantly changing. I don't know if you can see that. Looks like we've got a lot of slide stuff's been falling off that embankment, or I don't know, could be animals coming down through there too. Could be a little, it always seems to be that way, the variations. Anyway, that's a nice little creek. This creek runs constantly. It's actually a side branch that feeds into the Chattahoochee River. I am actually, I don't know if I've even said where I'm at. This is the headwaters of the Chattahoochee River, pretty much up here where I'm at. Not necessarily this, the exact headwaters, but just a few more miles up the mountain and back through the woods is actually where the Chattahoochee River starts. You got all these little side branches and stuff that feed off, and eventually it all funnels down together and feeds into the tourist town of Helen, which by the time it gets there, it's a good sized river. A lot of people trout fish, big tourist spot. And then it meanders its way on down and works its way towards Atlanta, and of course down to, all funnels down to get to Florida, I reckon. But these waters up here are they're pretty good, pretty clean water. It's one of the reasons I like this spot in particular, because it's a side branch and it feeds off. It comes off of the mountain way up that way. There is a forestry road that goes that way that the Forest Service uses, but other than that, it's not an accessible area for tourists and people to go to. So you have many miles, well, not many miles, a few miles of water that's coming off the mountain. It's coming out of the mountain, it's filtering, coming down here. Not to say that I'd necessarily drink the water directly out of here, because I know that's a no-no. But in a pinch, in an emergency, I'd probably be okay with it. It's not, it's just there's not anything above it to really contaminate it a lot. Of course, this day and time when we know, you still have to purify your water and everything. But that's one of the reasons I like this spot, is because the water is fairly clean. You get down towards Helen and down below, no way. Feeds into Lake Lanier, and yeah, it's full of all kinds of pollutants and all kinds of stuff. But this is just, I like this spot because of the water being that way. And if I bring the kids up here, they can play in the water, and I don't worry about them, the bacteria or anything like that. I don't have to worry about that here. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I say I'm just kind of meandering and rambling. Thought I'd just show a little bit about where I'm at, talk a little bit about where I'm at. It's not a bad spot. I said I have my teepee up in that spot right there. Those trees actually make somewhat of a circle right there. My teepee is 13 and a half foot tall. And it actually fit right perfect right in the middle of that thing. Couldn't ask for anything any better. But anyway, let me tend to my fire and figure out what we're gonna do.